Welcome to the Richmond Film Network podcast, your all-access pass to the world of independent cinema. Each week, we go beyond the credits and sit down with the creatives who turn vision into reality. Tune in weekly to find out who's on the RFN pod.
Hello, everyone. It's Lisa Giles with the Richmond Film Network. And here today we have our guest, Andrew Chi Nguyen. And he is a 22-year-old Vietnamese American filmmaker who currently lives in Richmond, Virginia, and really likes making movies and being mediocre at playing guitar. The Woman with a Name or Two is the film that he has screening at Richmond Film Network Indie Fest on May 17th at the Park RVA. And the logline for the film is Centuries After the Collapse of Modern Civilization, a gang of scavengers trade stories with a shifty merchant about the elusive woman at first thought to only be a wasteland myth. So welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being with us. So the film was shot while you were in your third year as a cinema student at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University here in Richmond, with a majority student cast and crew for a budget of around $500. That's almost nothing. So how did you stretch those dollars?
Well, that's a great question. The reason why I wanted to do a post-apocalyptic film was partially because I love the post-apocalyptic genre, but also half because I was like, okay, well, it's cheaper to make things look worse than to make them look good. So it's like cheaper. Dirt is free, ripping stuff is free, messing stuff up is free. And then a lot of the locations we had were just public places. Like Belle Isle has a lot of great abandoned areas. We shot there. We shot in a abandoned parking lot, which was the site of a strip mall at some point. And that was like perfect. So I love Richmond, but there's a lot of rundown places in Richmond, which makes me love it more. So that made finding post-apocalyptic looking locations easier. I mean, you find the right location, and the production value comes for free. Most of the money actually just went toward food because I wasn't able to pay any of the cast and crew. We had some good catering. We had some Taco Bell. We had pizza some days. My producer and AD and good friend Brock Cooper, he actually works at a sandwich company, and he was able to get a good rate on a lot of their catering stuff. And then a lot of the props I've already had from previous films and stuff I've done, or even part of my Halloween costumes I had were on screen. I've had prop guns for from other action movies I've done, or friends that have done action stuff. So yeah, we were able to stretch it. A lot of favors, a lot of thrift shopping, which is also fun because you can find some cool vintage stuff. We had we found old tape recorders and cassette tapes for a lot of things, because it's also it's a post-apocalyptic, but it's I describe it as kind of 80s retro-futuristic, but then post-apocalypse. So it's weird. It's like cyberpunk, but post-apocalyptic, but also super low budget at the same time. But melding all that together, I was worried, but I kind of had faith in myself and my crew that kind of aesthetic would work, because of just the way I wanted to approach it, from the spaghetti Western style as well, which is kind of a comic booky, super poppy kind of aesthetic, with also the 60s samurai, and those kind of work together really well already because they were being made at the same time. Kurosawa in the East and then Sergio Leone in the West. And merging those together, and with the color grading, I think that came together as well, because those films were obviously higher budget in this film, but they were also, for the time, shot for pretty low budgets. And I like to think that energy came through.
The color grading is absolutely perfection. So who's responsible for that?
I did a lot of I did almost all the grading, and then I had my DP Colin Miller, who was also a VCU cinema student. He gave me some notes and helped me out. We were both kind of learning at the process, but the grading was one thing, and then the film grain emulation, that was a whole other thing of research that I did. I use mostly this plugin called Dehancer, which is great. It's I think it's a smaller company. So I think it's only run by 3 people. That make this plugin you can buy, and they have a free trial version that I used a ton, and they have on their website have a lot of great documentation on different kinds of film stocks through history, stuff about expired film stocks on there. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can emulate. There's a lot of nuances to film grain or film emulation versus just the grain. There's things it does with highlights and bloom, and what different shades and how saturation is different on film. And obviously if I had the money, I would have shot it on film, and I would have found expired film to shoot on. I would have done all these different things. But I think for low budget, especially even on digital, it gives you the freedom to experiment with a lot of these things. And that's kind of why I was really grateful for the level of technology that I had access to, because being able to, I didn't have the money to buy the real film, but I had the time to put in for research to try to make it feel as authentic as possible. But yeah, a lot of the film, the color grading was emulating just normal like Kodak, like cinema grade, like 50 daylight. And in the black and white, I think I used like a Fujifilm emulation, because that would have been what they were using in Japan at the time and around the 60s. And then even there's one action scene that has kind of like almost a sepia tone color grade, and that was, I wanted to go for more of like a stalker Tarkovsky-esque look. So I was doing some research. There was like this like expired like Soviet style of film that's black and white, and I was like using that as like a reference, which that also kind of blew my mind. Like I always knew that there are different kinds of black and white. You just think there's no color, right? But no, there's like black and white can be so many different things. So,
Andrew, I'm loving how you're geeking out over this technology. So you're 22 years old. Obviously, you're a cinema student, so you've studied, but take me back to the beginning, from the moment you fell in love with filmmaking, how you decided that cinema was what you'd pursue in college. And you have a lot of knowledge about this. So
yeah, I think the first time I ever got exposed to video making, because for me, it started with like digital video. And my dad had like one of the first Sony HD camcorders back in maybe like 05 or 06. And at the time, it probably cost like $1,000. I don't know why he bought it. Now it probably costs like $50, which is hilarious. Like our phones are better now, but it was so cool. Like he would use it for vacation videos. Like that's all like the earliest videos I have of myself are just like, vacation stuff, be on the beach or whatever. And he would let me use it eventually, because I would end up just taking it from him basically. It became my camera. And what I would do, because I didn't have actors, I would film. I feel like a lot of young filmmakers have done this. I started filming my toys, because, they're the best actors ever, because you don't have to feed them and they don't have like they're not very good at dialogue, but that's okay, because I was going to mouth that over anyway with my voice. And then eventually,
so you're talking, what age are you talking?
Oh, this is probably like 8 or 9, probably. Okay. Yeah. And then what eventually I started to do is I got my first computer, or it was the family computer, and then I stole that as well. So it became my computer at one point, because I loved what I would do is, since I didn't have real actors, I would just take other movies that I had watched and I would re-edit them. Because I was like, oh, I didn't like this scene, and but I like this deleted scene more. Like I remember doing that with the Back to the Future trilogy, specifically the second and the third one. The first one is like one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that trilogy. The second and third one, at the time as a kid, I was like, I don't really like this scene. This scene was weird. I like this deleted scene. I'm gonna put this in here, and I would like combine them into like my dream cut of this movie. Probably illegal. I don't want to say how I got those video files. But it was very important to me. So for a while, I just watched a lot of YouTube as a kid. Like I never really watched TV or even movies, but YouTube is what I had, because it was free. I just had internet access. I thank my parents every day for trusting me with that internet access. So the internet was like the Wild West back then. Yeah. So for the longest time, I was like, oh man, I would love to be a YouTuber or something, because that's what I feel like that's what kids want to do these days. Like I want to be a social media star, but I didn't really understand that filmmaking was a job. I just saw what YouTubers did, and eventually when I got to high school, I saw that there was this film and TV course. It's kind of complicated. It wasn't at my high school; it was like at a different high school, but it was still part of my school counting program. So I was able to leave my high school and then go and do this film class at this different school, and that was like a dream, because I really hated grade school, almost all of it. But being in that film class, being around other people that wanted to make movies, and people were passionate. It's like, oh wait, everyone's doing this. We're all young, and it's like we have access to like not the greatest stuff, but we still have we had like pretty cool stuff. We had like lights and things. So the first like ever scripted short film I ever made was my sophomore year of high school. I was 16. Got like my friends to be in it. It was terrible. I don't know if the audio is really bad, but yeah, that was really when I like fell in love with the process. I was like, it's like playing pretend, but people, you can watch it and it can be fun. And it's amazing. You can get paid. I don't know. It was just like incredible. Basically, that's what it feels when it boils down to. It feels like you're just playing pretend with your friends, but on like such a bigger production value. And then you can watch it afterwards.
So this is the second film of yours that I've seen. Of course, the first being the one that you created doing the Richmond 48-hour film project. And you definitely have a distinctive style. How would you describe that style as a filmmaker? And what is your inspiration?
Yeah, so my style has, I would say, changed a while. For a while, you when you make your first couple of films, you don't have a style because you're just experimenting. And that's what I'd like to do with a lot of my shorts is I try to focus on one specific thing to focus on, try to make it the best possible. Like for the woman film, I really wanted to focus on like just production design and art and like costume design specifically. But I would say like with Standoffish and this film and a couple of other shorts, I've always loved I always loved action movies. They're like my favorite kind of movie to make. But I love action movies. I feel like directing action movies, that's like one of the hardest things that a director can do. It's like storytelling through movement is kind of, it's like one of the only pure visual mediums of ways of storytelling, because obviously there's auditory storytelling with dialogue, and there's written storytelling, but like trying to describe like a dance or really good blocking or a good fight scene, it's like you can describe what's happening, but that's not what the story that's being told. You just have to see it to experience it. And then film is so great because you can meld it with sound effects and music and the visual more other visual aspects of it, like lighting. But like some like quick filmmakers that have really inspired me have been like John Woo, Johnny To, Ringo Lam. Those are like kind of the Hong Kong 80s filmmakers that were making great action movies, and some of them still make really great action movies now. And they have because they do really good with like criticizing kind of that cop drama, and also mixing in like the crime brotherhood kind of all stem from John Woo, because John Woo kind of inspired like filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, which I also kind of like, that's how I kind of got started in that. And then those filmmakers led me to go deeper. And Johnny To always cites Kurosawa, and Kurosawa might be the greatest filmmaker ever made, maybe. He definitely has the highest rated movies on Letterboxd on average, I think. Like all his films are so great. And then there's kind of that, and then also a lot of Italian filmmakers inspired by like Sergio Leone and Sergio Corbucci, which is funny. They're both two guys named Sergio. And they kind of created the spaghetti western genre, which also stemmed from Kurosawa. I don't know. It's funny, the farther you go back in history, it keeps stemming from this guy. Oh man, I hope I'm not missing any other filmmakers. Those have kind of been like what have really inspired me. And just throughout like the action lexicon, there's so many filmmakers that inspired each other. And then it's great when you can kind of trace those lines back. Like there's even like Sam Peckinpah and then Jackie Chan, which you can trace all the way back to like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin. And yeah, but I just love action. I love great like poses and silhouettes and framing, where like characters have really cool, strong poses, low angles. I have a tendency to like overwrite a lot of my scripts, like what some of my friends and like my mentors have told me, and I've been trying to cut them down, because you can say so much with just like a good close up, a good stare. The eyes are the window to the soul. I don't know who said that quote. Maybe Jean-Luc Godard. I'm just guessing, probably not.
So I think the film is 17 minutes, 15 seconds. How many pages and how long did it take you?
Oh man, actually, yeah. So I thought the film was going to be longer, because I think the script was 21 pages, and I cut out a couple of, I never cut out any full scenes, but I did cut out some dialogue and parts of scenes. So it ended up being a lot shorter. And I think it's also a lot faster, because a lot of those were like action scenes, which are usually much faster in when you shoot them. But shooting it took only, I'll have to check, but I think it took less than a week in total. It was over probably like 2 weeks, but I think we had about 8 or 9 shooting days. And the longest shooting day we had was 6 hours, because we couldn't shoot at night. Obviously, I think the whole film is actually in day, besides the bar scene and the night scene, which is actually day for night. That was one of the first times I ever shot day for night. I'm going that super cool blue tone, like Mad Max almost kind of style of lighting. That was fun. I was like really worried, like, oh man, is this gonna work out? Because we don't have time to shoot at night, because we don't have lighting. So we shot day for night, but it totally worked because it was super stylized. So yeah, I think it was 8 days, and then in total hours, probably like 6-ish hours a day on average. Sometimes we had like 4-hour shooting day, but I think the longest 8 hours. It would have been faster, but we actually got rained out twice, which is the only time that's ever happened to me on a shoot. I think I've gotten pretty lucky before. And 2 of the actors were from outside of Richmond, so we kind of had to shoot out their stuff really fast. But yeah, so it was like 8 days shoot in the end of 2023, and then it took me like a year. Oh man, what is it? No, it's 2025, but almost a year and a half to edit it all. And the editing process might have been, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, so it was over a year and a half, but I think if I were to tally up the hours, probably something like 250 hours.
Wow.
And I know that because I edit for work, so I track like all my editing hours. And so I had to subtract this film from like my actual work time. But it was super fun. I learned a lot, especially about the sound mixing was what took the longest to do. Because at the time when we were recording on set, I knew less about sound recording than I do now. And I wish that if I could go back in time and change one thing, I'd be like, hey, get the boom mic here and then move the lav here. Don't record it like this. But we were able to, I was able to make it work with what we had. And the color grading also probably took the longest time. And there's a little bit of VFX in there, which I thought would take longer, but VFX always ends up going faster than I think it does. But yeah, most of the time it was definitely like sound mixing. It was like maybe like a 1-to-5 ratio of actually cutting the film and then doing the sound for it.
So how did you know that it was done?
Oh man,
because it's never done, right?
Yeah, it's never done.
So how did you know when it was time to submit? What made you say, okay, it's done?
Man, for this one, it was done many times, and then I kept like rewatching and being like, oh wait, I could do that. I could try that. The last thing one of the last things I did was VFX out some reflections in Jai, who plays the merchant character's glasses, because there were some scenes where it was fine, you couldn't see anything, but some scenes his glasses would like catch the light, and I was like, I wonder if can I like do anything about that? Is that possible? So I did some research. I went After Effects, and I basically just spent like another week VFXing all that out, and I was like, oh man, okay, yeah, I can do that. And then I started looking at other scenes. I was like, can I VFX this out? Oh, there's a weird thing in the background here. It's like, oh, is that somebody's foot? I could probably get rid of that. I could probably fix this. And then you go back to the color grade and you're like, wait, this is too bright. This is too dark. I think really the only way to end it is like you kind of have to just gotta force yourself. And that's one thing it's kind of like a curse and a blessing, where I can be like, they say that last 5% is the hardest 5% to finish out of the 95%. Or it's, what is it, like the last 5% takes 95% of the time to make that 100% perfect, because nothing's ever perfect. But I would say I have that kind of gift and blessing where I can stop myself and be like, all right, it's like 95% good. Like if I spend another 10 hours on this, it'll get like 0.5% better, but that's really not worth it. I think it's more important that people just see this. And that's another thing. Like I make my films to be seen. Yeah, that's the most like gratifying part of it, is being able to entertain people. So at the point it's like, oh, I just gotta stop. And submission dates were coming up. I wanted it out this year. It's also shout out to the cast and crew for getting on my back, being like, hey Andrew, is it out yet? That was also another aspect where I was like, okay, I gotta finish it. It's gotta be done.
So what do you hope that the audience response is? What do you hope that people walk away from the film feeling or understanding about you as a filmmaker, or understanding about the film itself?
Oh man, that's a great question. I hope I can answer it well. Making movies and entertaining people, giving them like an emotional experience. Like I think there are directors that describe it as like almost like a good conductor in an orchestra, being able to give people really good lows and then high highs, and then having everything being satisfying at the end. I hope I give people that. I hope I make people interested in the film and like what I was inspired by, and they go watch those movies, because that's what inspired me to make movies. I think the greatest compliment ever.
For me, hearing you talk about that makes me want to go and watch.
And I think the greatest compliment that any filmmaker can get is that they inspired somebody to make something of their own. And I hope I can do that for somebody one day after they watch a bunch of movies as well.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
So how has this film changed the way that you view storytelling or about your future plans in the industry? Has making this movie changed any of that for you?
Oh man, yeah. So that's a good question, because the film is also kind of about the power of storytelling in a way, because there's so many flashbacks in it, and they're all distorted and degraded in your own way. You kind of don't really know what's the truth and what's this, and at the end you kind of find out it's been a grift from the. Oh, I don't know if I should spoil my own film. I don't know if that's the podcast. They tell stories about the woman character, and you don't really know at the time like what's true, what's not. And in a world where it's post-apocalyptic, where there's no peer-to-peer communication, instant communication, the storyteller, like a merchant, a traveling merchant, someone that is one of the most powerful people possible, because if you can make someone believe what you're saying, then you basically have infinite power. For good or for manipulation, either or. And that kind of putting myself in that perspective, because today in the media there's so much just in general manipulation and misinformation, and not even maliciously. It's just due to how social media algorithms are wired and how all this stuff is going on, that it can just lead to bad stuff like echo chambers and just being stuck in a whole loop of whatever dark corners of the internet exist. It's fortunate that can meld over to real life, and that's kind of what inspired me, even subconsciously, just like write a story like this. Because it's interesting, a lot of post-apocalyptic stories I think are about like human survival and stuff like that, which I'm into a little bit, but I feel like I wanted to do something different. This is more like deep post-apocalyptic. So they're rebuilding the society, but it's still kind of in the past. And then it's a world where there's no technology, or no modern technology, and that's kind of the ethos of like what the basis of what the world is. So thinking about that changed me, and then just like on the technical level, and the creative level, I've learned so much. That's the best part about making movies. Like film school is worth it. I like going to film school a lot, but just making one movie, it's like you'll learn like a lifetime of knowledge of like how to do small things better, how to communicate with people better, what to plan for.
So tell me about the guitar. Not as being mediocre at playing guitar.
I'm trying to get better for so many years. It's interesting. Movie making, I've been doing it for so long, and I would say that, like, I can draw my progression. I can see how well it's been going this linear line. Guitar, it's like, oh wait, no, I don't know how to do this. Oh, I can't do the bar chord. I'm still stuck in the, put on a capo there, tune it up, tune it down when I can't play a hard note. I used to play musical instruments. Has always been hard for me. I used to play clarinet in like high school, and I also used to play piano when I was a kid. And the worst thing is when you're better at something when you were a kid than you are now. It's the worst. Like, I was so good at piano, or not amazing. I could play like Turkish march as a fourth grader, and I can't do that now. I just literally I have all that muscle memory is just completely gone. Trying to get better guitar. My guitar playing actually does make an appearance in the film. In the bar scene, you can hear me playing guitar in the background because I wanted to add some songs there. I'm not in the scene, but I'm just like a background noise.
Yeah.
And it's not great, but it's okay too. It's mediocre.
Okay, so you don't aspire to be great at guitar.
No, I aspire to be better, but never great. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to. It'd be fun, but with the amount of time I put into it, it's probably going to be maybe 200,000 years before I get really great at it. For the like 1 hour a week I practice.
So, what are you working on now? What's next?
So right now, I'm actually I want to do my first feature. I'm working on a script for it. I've been trying to find time to write for like 2 or 3 hours a day, so like an hour a day. I'm like within the first act, and hopefully I want to start shooting this year. I want to try to do a crowdfunding campaign this summer, and I hope that this film also is going into festivals this summer. That'll also help give me some more attention, put some more eyes on it. So yeah, I'm excited about this feature. I don't want to give away too much yet because I'm still kind of putting it together. The whole spiel will come when I have my crowdfunding campaign ready. I don't know if have you ever done one of those? At least it's like a whole different ballgame.
It's a whole thing. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's like almost like a political campaign.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like this is like almost a campaign interview here. It's like, hey, I'm Andrew. Please give me some money for my movie. Please vote for my movie. But I know it'll be an action film. It'll be fun. Hopefully, it'll be cheap.
I was afraid to ask. I didn't want you to give away too much, but I wanted to ask if it was going to be action.
Oh yes, definitely, most definitely. Okay. Yeah. Just challenge myself to do that on a lower budget. But I'm trying to raise money for that because I do want to be able to pay everybody. Even though it's not the best rate, I do want to be able to pay and feed everybody because I haven't been able to do that for a film yet, and I just feel like I owe it to my peers, to my fellow filmmakers, to be able to do that. And for the Richmond community at large, because I do want to film it all in Richmond as well, if possible.
So, do you have a dream project? And if so, what does that look like?
Oh man, I do have so many dream projects. And then it's like, oh, do I want to give it away? Like, what's the way? Yeah, I do have a lot. I can tell you can I tell you off the record? I do want to tell you. I do have an idea.
Wow. Well, Andrew, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. Once again, your film, The Woman with the Name or Two, screens at RFN Indie Fest on Saturday, May 17th you're in the 2:00 block, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 2:00.
Yeah.
Tell everybody how we can find you and how we can follow your progress.
Yeah, well, I want to say thank you, Lisa, for having me on here. This was super fun. Do this. Impromptu. I woke up about like 20 minutes before, and then I got this coffee, and I joined this. It was really fun. But people can find me at youtube.com/Andrew Chi Nguyen. It's just my name. And then also I have andrewchinguyen.com. So take that. The other Andrew Chi Nguyen, who's a dentist in Chicago. I got the URL before you did. Yeah, all my social, my Instagram and my YouTube and my website, it's all just my name. Luckily I was able to lock that down. So yeah, super easy to find me, hopefully.
And you can definitely find him on May 17th at the Park RVA at 2:00 for his film. So hope you all can make it. Andrew, thanks again.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Richmond Film Network podcast. Thanks to our guest and to you, our listeners, for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share. Tune in next week to see who's on the RFN pod. Until then, keep the cameras rolling.